Hello, everybody. So some of you guys are suggesting that maybe I could go over these assignments, so I'm going to start recording some videos. I'm going to try to make it brief, about 5 minutes. This is going to be assignment 4, chapter 11, lesson 3, War with Mexico. Make sure the first places that you're looking is right there. Make sure you have that, find your textbook or use that online version. If you guys need help finding the online version, that will actually be something I'll cover in a different video. Other thing, you want to make sure that you're finding a quiet place to study and learn. I was telling some of the kids in the meeting today, make sure you don't have to work all day on this. It might take 2 or 3 days to complete. Completely fine. Okay, so those are the basics. If you look on your left, we got 3 objectives today. We want to be able to analyze, so really critically look at the importance of this thing called the Santa Fe Trail. You want to be identify points of view in the development of California's culture. This is when California starts to come into play. We'll learn a little bit more about California before it was in the United States when it was under the control of Mexico. And then you're also going to want to be able to identify the reasons behind the conflict between the United States and Mexico and why it was important. So, what was the importance of it? So, we got a couple things. First, you're going to turn to page 409 in your textbook. I want you to first just read the section, the New Mexico Territory, and you're going to answer a couple questions here. You're going to just describe the location of New Mexico in the early 1800s. Just kind of give me a general idea of where it is. Your hint here is to tell me what states eventually came from this territory. The next question, and this should only be like about a sentence for this one, by the way. Sorry, I didn't put it in there. Next one, why is it important to Americans? So, not important to the Spanish, not important to Mexico. Why was it important to Americans specifically? Make sure to write 2 sentences in your own words. Just give me some ideas. Next, you got to read that section, the next section. So these 2 questions are both from New Mexico territory. Now, you're going to read the section, California Spanish culture. So you're going to learn about a little bit about California's culture before the United States controlled it. You're going to want to tell me what the effects of the missions were. It would be helpful to make sure you know what the missions are. There should be a definition. If it's just off the top of my head, because I don't have the textbook on me, it should be a definition in that section. If not, you can just Google it real quick. California missions. What were the effects? So what was the impact would be another way to think about it. 1 sentence, explain in your own words. Just read that section, and then you're just going to tell me what kind of effects the missions had that were constructed by the Spanish. Okay, so you're talking about the Spanish at this part. This would be before Mexico was independent and way before the United States controlled it. This would all have been this all started in if you think back to 7th grade history, the Spanish mission system started after the fall of the Aztec Empire, way before the British and the Americans even were around on North America. Next, why did Americans want to make California part of the United States? You're gonna cite one piece of evidence straight from the text to answer that. Why did the Americans want to make California part of the United States? What was so special about California? Next, quick video. Actually, it's not that quick. I lied. Sorry. I think it's about 15 minutes. It was just one thing that I liked about the video. Gave you a lot of glances into Spanish and Mexican history. Not something we really go into while studying the United States. It gives you some background about how Mexico won its independence and why Texas and Mexico were butting heads, and eventually why Mexico and the United States did. So watch the video. There's a video link right there. After watching the video, explain some of the American motivations for getting into the war with Mexico. Why were the Americans motivated? Why did they want to get into this war? List at least one, so that's easy. And then, by the end of the video, you're going to tell me what 2 results. You can quote straight from the text or straight from the video, I guess you could say. And it can be in a single sentence. So you can say, and, if you want. Okay? So that's just because I'm trying to integrate more videos. Also, I'm trying to do this video in one shot because I don't really want to have to start talking all over again for 5 minutes. So I might mess up a couple times, forgive me. All right, so that would be, if you're following the plan here, that would all be a day. Because the video is a little longer, you might have to watch it twice. So then the next one, we're going to go straight through. And we're going to read about the conflict begins, which is the war with Mexico. You're going to get out your textbook. You're going to go to page 411. And for this one, you're going to be looking at central ideas. You're going to look at what the main disagreement between the United States and Mexico was? What is the main disagreement? You can cite this directly from the text or write it in your own words. Only has to be one sentence. Up to you. Next one. What step does President Polk take to provoke? If you guys don't really remember what provoke means, you can look it up. Basically, Polk does some things to push Mexico to shoot first, essentially. He's trying to trick them, essentially draw them into a war. Polk is aware that Mexico recently fought off Spain. He's also aware that there's some political things going on, so Mexico isn't 100% stable. They're building up stability at the time, so he knows this is the time to take advantage. A little shady there. 3 steps after. That's important. After Polk offered to buy Mexico. That's why I set it up like this. First, Mexican leaders refused to discuss Polk's offer to buy California and New Mexico because they realize like these are valuable territories. So you're just going to tell me what's the next thing that happened, then after that, and then lastly, May 13th, Congress passed a declaration of war against Mexico. So look for these important things. Because Congress eventually, so the United States Congress will declare war. What does Polk do to basically get this result? Because that's what he wants. He wants war against Mexico. He wants to get these territories. All right, so this is an important thing. If we look back up to our goals for this, we're looking at the points of view and the reasons behind the conflict between the United States and Mexico. So we're looking at points of view. Quote a piece of text to support each side. The topic, just to clear it up, is the war with Mexico. 1 sentence for each. What is Polk and the Americans' point of view as far as the war goes, and what is the Mexican point of view? This would all be before you actually get into the war stuff. And there's a really good quote from Abraham Lincoln, kind of questioning Polk's motives and questioning the beginning of the war. So read that real quick. If you need to read it twice, obviously it's a older English essentially, so it might be a little hard to understand. This is important because Abraham Lincoln, which will be an important person in the American Revolution or American Civil War, he's getting active in politics at this time. A couple more questions here. Okay, so for that one, you're just reading page 411 for 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then you're going to move on to pages 412 to 413. Sorry guys, this video is going a little long. From the subsection from a war plan to peace terms. Then Polk's 3 goals. That's going to be first. These questions should be in order. What are his 3 goals to defeat Mexico? What is his plan? Quote multiple sentences from the section, a war plan. Next, explain what happened in California that helped the United States win the war. And cite a piece of evidence. Make sure you're doing this. We got to get back into that. And then results. So United States obviously is going to get some stuff out of this. Mexico does actually end up getting something. There's probably one positive, one negative that you can bring up. But what are some things? What are the results? What did Mexico get? What did the United States get? And then last, in your opinion, last one's opinion. Make sure you're writing in your own words. What was the important result of the Mexican-American War for the United States? So that last one is your opinion. What do you think the most important result from that war was, or the biggest, what's going to have the most impact? All right, sorry that video was a little long, guys. I'll try to keep them under 6 minutes next time.